Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us this afternoon to explore how Lessonate may be of value to your school. I'm Brett Watson, General Manager of Growth here at Campion Education. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respects to elders past and present. Before we dive into today's demonstration, I'd like to give you a brief overview of Campion Curated. So Campion Education has always helped schools source and supply the best textbooks and resources for their students to support that learning journey. As technology has advanced, there is a greater opportunity for schools to support this journey in different ways. However, as you will all be aware, choosing the right resources become more complicated than ever for schools. So our ambition with Curated here at Campion is to bring together the best-in-class digital products and services from around the world, localised for Australian schools, supporting all the stages of the learning journey. It is also for Campion to be a partner for schools to make the best decisions for them and their community. Each product that we've chosen to sit within Curated, and will do so in the future, addresses a specific challenge faced by schools while contributing to a broader ecosystem that supports the teaching and learning journey. Schools can select products that best align with their context and priorities. All the products are localised for Australian schools, are digitally secure, and integrate seamlessly with the Campion ecosystem. So what we're talking about today is Lessonate, which is a brand new product built in-house by Campion that helps teachers turn curriculum intent into lesson-ready resources in seconds. We took the decision to build this product as we felt there was an opportunity to improve how AI was used to create resources for Australian classrooms, while ensuring that we can retain the use of those core resources for which Campion has always provided schools. I'm now happy to introduce Dan Ingvarsson, the lead of the Lessonate product, to give more information on Lessonate and the partner program we're creating. Thank you, Dan, and welcome to the webinar.
Thank you, Brett. Hello to everyone. Some of you might know me, some of you might not. I've been around the EdTech industry for a very long time, working with schools. I've worked with people like John Hattie on AI in 2019, and I helped establish some of Australia's work towards the AI principles for schools. Have worked with both the Catholic sector, independent schools, international schools, and government systems on how AI can assist and be a challenge, and what are some of the responses that organisations can make to it. And so I've been working with AI for some time before connecting with Brett and Campion, and had worked in with the Catholic sector to create their first version of what's called CE Chat, and other people such as Dan Hart, who created New South Wales EduChat, and been involved with what schools were using in AI. And as I went to create Lessonate, a story came back to me as to why and what problem we're actually trying to solve. When GTP first came out in about December of 22, I showed an ex-director of ACER, the Australian Council for Educational Research, this amazing tool. And the first thing he did, because he was an expert in science teaching, was to get it to create a science lesson. And he was absolutely blown away at how it just created this thing in front of him. And then he looked at it, and he looked at it a little bit closely and said, no, you'd never teach that like that. And that doesn't follow that. And, that would be very hard to do in your classroom. And so from early on, I had a sense that while AI could create content, it needed scaffolding to understand what your particular needs were and how to make it work so it's pedagogically sound, it is aligned to an instructional model, and that it actually was teachable. The items that came out were usable in the classroom. So that's where we can work with Campion, who obviously have got a long history in content. And a very key message was, we want to create something so that you can focus on teaching, right? So that we can actually give you time back and confidence back in the content created in AI, so you can spend more time with your students. So, I should put this into present mode, shouldn't I? Let me start that and go sharing my screen. All right. So where content has come from with the AI is, you can create it, but it isn't the teaching. And that's basically the gap where Lessonate sits. So we try to have learnt from the way that AI works to wrap it in additional information so that we can recognize the kind of activities and engagements that are providing high quality learning environments, and countering the key downsides that people recognize when they're trying to use AI content. And the purpose is so that we can create resources that are worthy of your review. And that means creating things that have an expectation about lifting not only the quality of AI output, but helping teachers to know how they might run this lesson and why that might be connected to the curriculum, and support their work as well. So we worked with a whole group of teachers, and we looked at the curriculum, and we focused on trying to learn from the teachers what was the thinking that they were doing, not just output, because AI is created based on looking at output. So we created this pipeline, and this pipeline starts with a teaching spark, adds the curriculum, creates a learning journey, groups to set a set of activities, then undertakes some remediations, puts it into a beautiful template, and most importantly, creates an instructional blueprint along with the lesson resource that explains the overall working. And so what do we mean by a teacher spark? Well, we find that most people, when they go to their Copilot and their other tools, they'll type a prompt that's somewhere in the region of 9 to 11 words long when they're asking for a lesson resource. That doesn't give it enough context. So what we've done is to take that short spark that a teacher has and wrap it in a profile. The profile is your subject, your grade, your instructional model, your student profile, needs and requirements of your students, such as ESL support. Then we looked at all 800 achievement standards and asked expert teachers, how would you teach this? What are the considerations? What comes before? What would be the vocab? What would be the topics? What would be the ways of supporting struggling students? What would be the ways of extending leading students? And we wrapped around all of the curriculum sets of how real teachers go about thinking about implementing that. And that allowed us to take what people are asking for, to align it to the curriculum, and to then wrap that within different instructional models, such as explicit versus inquiry for Victorian VTLM or IB, as you'll see. And that means that when we create something, instead of creating just an isolated resource, we can create a sequence. We can create a sequence that understands whether we're trying to teach an explicit lesson, or we're trying to teach something that's more open-ended, or whether we're trying to teach one lesson, or we're trying to do an entire sequence for a topic. And that comes because we created a huge library of activities. And these activities, each and every one of them, has been created and refined by a teacher. How they work and how they're aligned with a cognitive calibration. Different activities work for different types of learning. They are also able to be scaled based on the type of expectation out of the curriculum, something where we're looking to describe versus compare versus analyze. It works together across those kinds of things to create lots of different activities, but also thinking routines and thinking about how the students would actually learn this. And so importantly then, if we're making those kind of decisions, we need to make them really, really obvious to you. And so there's a whole teacher in the loop, we call it, service. And that means it will show you what it's thinking, it'll ask you questions, and it will actually then give you a blueprint of why it made those particular decisions. And of course, making something look good is also kind of important. What we did was to teach the LLM about the different types of educational text there is, the difference between stimulus versus vocabulary, and how you would lay that out, and how would you create something that's engaging to look at and to use as an individual. And lastly, we tried to counter some of the downsides of LLMs, where the service will actually go and find out, oh, that looks like you're asking for a fact. It will then go and try and find a primary source or something to verify that against. It will create images, generating them on the fly from the activity, but it will also, if it sees something like a history event, go, hang on, I shouldn't be generating that. I need to go to the National Library of Australia and pull down the real file. That all culminates in what we call the instructional blueprint, which is a way of explaining how these activities align to achievement standards, instructional models, and so forth. So that pipeline brings a lot of different things together. It brings thousands of hours of development, the expertise across many, many teachers, and tries to bottle that up so that you can benefit from that. So shall we take a look? It's deliberately simple. We haven't talked at all about assistance. We're not going to do that today. There's a whole nother side. But today we're just going to focus on resources. The way that it works is that you have your profiles, which can be it could be a whole cohort, it could be a individual student, it could be a small group, it could be a class, it could be a course. It's up to you how to put those things together, and those are put together into your.
Sorry, Dan, I think we're still seeing your presentation. I don't think it's flipped to the other screen.
I thought I did. Thank you. I thought I'd done a whole screen. Thank you for jumping in there. I am not. All right. So, as I said, it's a fairly simple system. When you want to create a resource, you just click create a resource. You have your profiles, which we were just talking about. And for each one of these profiles, you can see that this one is using New South Wales options. And this one is using the 5E. And we have different instructional models and different profiles that basically hold whether you're trying to, what type of range of students, levels, etc., that you're trying to put together. So we also try to give you lots of interesting ideas. These little text thing running through here aligns with every one of the achievement standards in the curriculum. So you can actually find something, if you're looking for something quickly. So if we grab something here into dichotomous key, let's use that. Now, of course, I can just type whatever I want in here as per normal. It's a lot easier for me demoing to be able to do that. I can select from the curriculum. It allows me to browse through the whole curriculum quite easily. And then we get to this, which is the activities. So here we can see I've got what was called the balanced instructional model, which has both explicit instruction and deep learning and inquiry. But we could use the VTLM, we could use the Melbourne HDIOC's MAX explicit model, the New South Wales model, or some of the others that are there. And when you go in here, what it does is it sorts these activity types based on the phase, if that's what you're wanting to focus on, if you're wanting an activity that's focusing on a part of the lesson, or if you're wanting to do an overall sequence, you can go through and use one of the learning sequences that are built in here. Today I'm just going to do active learning. And active learning has a set of these activities that it will create for me. So let's just put those on, and we can add sources. So we can put our own information in and help guide and ground if that's what we want to do. Okay. So now you can see it's going through this process of thinking about and trying to show us what it is it's actually looking up to put stuff together for you. That's the sets of activities. I'll be interested to see which thinking routine, because what we have is all of Project Zero's thinking routines built in. Oh yeah, did you see that? It selected does it fit? That's good, because my other demo does that too. Yes, and it will create a Project Zero thinking routine and put that forward for us. So now we're finally getting to the actual generating stage. While that does that, we will putting it together. There we go. So excellent. We have our does it fit. Now, what that enables us to do is this is an example where we've got the teacher guidance, and this aligns to the achievement stand, verb, explain. So it goes and details down into that. The structure guides students from initial observation, data gathering, through to systematic comparison, and finalized design. So we're in our teacher guidance. We've tried to provide a map so that it's very easy for you to print off your does it fit thinking routine, and then you have a script, look fors, and interventions, just as a guide for you for how things to use the Project Zero thinking routine, which are notoriously difficult to actually put together and make work. Well, it's a lot of work to make that. And so here we have the students' components, parts of the thinking routine, and you'll see it's giving them some guidance, it's giving them hints, and here we go. There's an evaluation table with the different types of fit that it's got, and that gives you a sort of a structure for Project Zero. But that's just the first thing. It's also created for us a diagnostic assessment. It's got a very low floor, and very high ceiling diagnostic assessment. So it should be able to give you a good distribution of where your students are in what they understand about dichotomous keys, about this particular learning achievement standard. And you can see here we've got fluency, then we work up to applying, and we've always got a nice high end challenge item. But along with this, we create the answer keys with next steps for any question that's gotten wrong. And you can take these and use them as guiding further resources. Then we've started out, got kids thinking, using a thinking routine, gave them a quick, kind of quiz. Now we're trying to give them something to apply their thinking a little bit more. So in here we have an open-ended inquiry, which gives us a stimulus text and an explanation of what we're trying to do. We have a support level activity, at level, an extension. And you'll see, obviously, again, we've got quite an interesting thing here. It's created what is a imaginary being, so that for your dichotomous key. And then it has a nice explanation of this activity, common misconceptions, look fors, etc., within each activity. Then we create it in this one, because we're doing active learning, a field work. So this is AI trying to get kids out of the classroom and get them working together, and giving you structures to help being able to teach in innovative ways. So this here is an open-ended task, and I'll skip through it because it's got all kinds of parts of these sort of work streams, but I wanted to see that as part of the questions should both help them describe and apply or analyze as part of undertaking the observations, because we've already been through this development process that we've asked them to get to, and so we're actually trying now to build up to that with our fieldwork report. And nothing would be complete unless we had a rubric. Rubrics are life, I think. I mean, we have a student view of the rubric, which has the I can statements attached to it, and some reflections for them, but also a teacher view, where what we've got is not only the system, but we have a moderation appendix with common misconceptions, but also importantly, the differentiating prompt between each of the levels in the criterion, really helping to make the distinctions clear for the teacher about what level marking they should be. And then finally, we have the instructional blueprint. And the instructional blueprint is this key piece where all of the thinking that we've done with the LLM is made transparent to the teacher. So we've got the summary of each of the tasks of what they're for. Then we have how did this get created? Why did we choose this? You can see sequence progresses from does it fit, diagnostic assessment, etc. Then you can see it exposes the thinking that we're trying to evolve. So we have the original identifying characteristics, that's parts of the early on, moving through using keys, explaining hierarchical organization, etc. So these are detailed ways of understanding what the activities are about and what the decisions that the LLM was making and how to make it exposed. We also see it knows we're using the balanced instructional model, and we're using directive language because of it being a science subject, and then the complexity, how we came up with the complexity for the task. So that's giving you a sense of what the the basic single request would get you. But we've got a lot of other very pretty items like this. So this was one with the Great Barrier Reef, where these are real images. And I can come in here and say, oh, actually, let me see, is there better ones for me? And we can see where they're from and how they work to include them, etc. So these are what we call those factual images that are put together. And I'm just looking at the time and going, I've taken way too long time to go through this, haven't I? So here's another one, which is where Liam, he created a request where he just wanted support to understand more about these particular parts of the questions. And it actually gives him diagnostic questions so that he knows that he's understanding the context and the content descriptors that he was asking to work with, and gives him a learning arc for moving from surface to deep to transfer teaching of that particular achievement standard. And then we have this, which is an example of explicit instruction. So we have both, as I was saying at the start, different activities that can be really quite highly targeted, but entirely built from your requests and giving you a detailed view of how it's come together. And lastly, for the mathematics people in us, we have like a diagnostic that was created, for charts, which uses charts, mathematics, and some other items in it. So I'm going to pause there so we can give people a chance to potentially ask some questions, and get a better sense of what it is that we're trying to do. Oh, I should just say that, of course, you can export these things, you can share them, and do other activities. You can add to them, and of course, we've got all of the NCCD stuff to manage with different, to add different, items here, or differentiate, or undertake additional activities on it. All right. Sorry, Brett, over to you. Any questions from the audience?
Just had a look. I don't think we have any questions at the moment.
Okay. Well, then I could present and you could talk to the program that we're looking for.
Yes, absolutely. So, while we wait for a couple of questions, I'd like to say, thank you to Dan for giving us the presentation today and the overview of Lessonate, the product, sort of the why and the how of how it works. We're really happy to have Dan working with us on this, and we're really excited about the potential that Lessonate might have with schools. Where we are in this project is very early days. As Dan mentioned, we've worked very heavily with teachers to develop Lessonate, in the back end, thinking about the pedagogy and the instructional models behind it. But where we are now is we really want to work with schools more closely to sort of guide where this goes from now. So we're looking for a set of partner schools to join us on a journey over the next 6 months to really guide the final shape of Lessonate.
Thank you.
These partner schools will have the opportunity to explore Lessonate in ways that align with their own context and priorities, while also providing feedback to us that will sort of shape and strengthen the product. So we're thinking about, what are those key pain points that schools are experiencing, and how might this platform and this product be adjusted and modified to really help deliver for them what they need. Schools that partner with us will have full access to Lessonate for the entirety of the trial period, and then also for next year as well. As you can see on screen there, the purpose of the process of the journey is to book a demo with us. We'll then talk to you about exactly what it is that you're trying to get out of a platform like this, and how we can actually set this up in a trial over those 6 months to deliver what you need, and then we'll work together to build that. So we're really excited to look for schools to join us on this journey. I don't think we have any more questions, do we, Stephen?
I've expected the question to say, how many curriculums do you support? Because I didn't show that. Currently we have inbuilt all of the Australian curriculum derived curriculums from Victoria, West Australia, South Queensland, etc. And we're waiting on NESA approval to allow us to implement the New South Wales syllabus. They have a slightly different process to go through there. Equally, I expected questions about control, which is what we've got, because what Lessonate allows you to do is to moderate the quality of AI content that's being done in the school. And you can actually see, as a curriculum director, some of the content that's been created, and determine that the kinds of outputs that are being done, that are being used across your whole school, consistent. And one of the other things that people ask for is how do you deliver them? And of course, you can print them or you can put them into your LMS. For some of the tri schools, we've got some exciting ideas about how to deliver them online, and managing to use AI for both the delivery as well. So hopefully that gives people a bit more of a sense. And of course, Lessonate doesn't replace your whole textbooks or your unit planning or all that kind of stuff. It builds on those kinds of things, and based on what you're needing at a time. So it's trying to fill that gap of making sure that you've got quality resources at a time, and certainly helping out-of-band teaching when teachers are away, as well as when we come around to refreshing content for a unit, and wanting to create new and exciting sort of activities for your students.
So there's one question here, Dan. What sources does the AI draw from?
So what we have is a way of guiding the AI to look to sources that are related to the query you're putting. We use a number of factual search systems in the back end, so that maybe I can show you one, but so that when you ask for something, if you are working purely from the curriculum, so it's an activity which doesn't need to have facts in it, then we've built the source is the curriculum and our teachers, right? So we're just using that to wholly guide how the resources are made. But let's say we are wanting to do something, like the Great Barrier Reef. You would then see at the bottom the list of the sources that this has been derived from out on the web. And we try to stick to factual sites that are well supported, Wikipedia, other science sites, etc. And we've got some intermediary services that help us do that. Cool. Now,
excellent. Thank you again, Dan. I don't think we have any more questions, so I appreciate you taking the time and coming on and taking us through that.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
So if this presentation has got your interest and you'd like to learn more about what it looks like to be a part of school and how you can join up with that program, please reach out to your Campion account manager, or you can directly contact us here on the curated email or visit the curated website. Thank you very much for everyone for joining us today, and I wish you all a great rest of the week. Thank you.